addiction, even to government spending, is not overcome, folks, without withdrawal. And the U.S. market's going through some pretty harsh shakes right now, but none of this should be a surprise.
We will put a tariff on all of those cars to a point where they won't be able to sell them because we want them to build their plants in the United States. It's about some proper cost cutting. You know who we're going to use for that? Elon.
See, no surprises. So in the past 20 years, government spending, look at this. See, this is what we're trying to unravel at this point when you're watching all of this happen. So spending went from 2.5 trillion about 20 years ago to 7.2 trillion per year. That's how much the government has been spending. That's why the government got bigger and bigger and bigger. Our debt, because all this costs a lot of money, from 7 trillion to an astonishing $36 trillion. So fixing these issues, like think about if your credit card just got completely out of control. You're not going to fix it overnight.
Really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt. I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually.
That was Elon with Larry Kudlow yesterday. So remember this, too. 83% of Americans during the election said they wanted substantial change or complete and total overhaul of how the country is run. So that is what we're watching in the first 50 days here. It's a painful detox, to extend the drug addict analogy, as Charlie Gasparino did in his piece today. He was with us yesterday. Today, we've got Mark Tepper, Strategic Wealth Partners President and CEO, and Dagen McDowell, host of The Bottom Line on Fox Business. Great to have both of you with us. Your thoughts as we watch this market coming off its lows today. Dagen, let me start with you.
And I think if you look at the NASDAQ, I turned to Mark when we were sitting in the green room. I went, is the NASDAQ actually up?
Yeah.
I don't pay attention as much to the stock market in this environment as I do to the bond market, and particularly to longer term interest rates and what the U.S. government has to pay to borrow at this moment, because that is what President Trump and his entire economic team are focused on. And that is, and Elon Musk talked about this yesterday. He said, we have this enormous federal budget deficit. It is $2 trillion, the deficit, and it keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. I think that was the wake-up call for me. Our interest is even higher. What we pay every year in interest, and we've talked about this, is even higher than what we spend on Medicare. It is the second largest budget item, our interest expense, next to Social Security. And if we can't get out, eradicate the budget deficit and get our interest expense in check, and if it starts mushrooming it, that is the death spiral of the American economy. And again, so I watch the longer-term interest rates. Longer-term interest rates have actually fallen. They're below 4.3%. That is great news if people want to buy a home, because it means their mortgage rates are coming down. But it also means that in the next 2 years, the United States government is going to have to refinance. This is the outstanding, the marketable U.S. Treasury debt. The United States government has 57% of our marketable debt as a nation has to be refinanced in the next 2 years.
At higher rates.
Because of what Joe Biden and Janet Yellen and company did. So if the most important thing to watch now is President Trump, are they getting our financial house in order? Are borrowing rates in check so we can right-size the nation? And the answer is yes. So the stocks might be selling off.
So there's obviously,
okay.
a lot of battle over this tariff issue, Mark. Yeah. At the highest echelons of people who look at the financial situation here, and this throwback soundbite to Ronald Reagan back in 1982 is getting quite a bit of play today. In fact, the New York Post reported that Jamie Dimon was recommending it to take a look at. which tells you about his feelings on this. Watch this.
We're in the same boat with our trading partners. If one partner shoots a hole in the boat, does it make sense for the other one to shoot another hole in the boat? Some say yes and call that getting tough. Well, I call it stupid. We shouldn't be shooting holes. We should be working together to plug them up.
So, Mark, I think the imbalance between what we were paying in tariffs and what other people were paying us was very different back in 1982. But what are your thoughts on the tariff situation?
Look, I think President Trump, what he wants to do first and foremost is he wants to ensure that anyone we're trading with, there is a level playing field. We have been taken advantage of for such a long time. And I think it was Senator Rand Paul, maybe 6 to 12 months ago. He made a comment and he said something along the lines of, why does America have to be everybody's sugar daddy? It seems like we are willing to bail everyone out, not just our failed companies here in the U.S., but in every other country as well. And we've really had enough of that. So when it comes to the tariffs, I can tell you firsthand, I'm a Young Presidents Organization YPO member, so I'm talking with small business owners every single day. These are small business owners who were super pumped in November after the election. They're like, oh my gosh, this is great. We can now execute on this growth plan, that growth plan. They are hesitant and tentative right now because they don't have clarity. As soon as they get clarity, they'll move forward with their initiatives.
Because they're paying more for stuff on their supply lines and all of those costs that are going up that they're worried about. Thank you very much, you guys. We'll keep an eye on where this goes.